So this afternoon, I'd like to talk a little bit more about this cycle of growth and learning, which is the realization, integration, actualization. This is a very important understanding to have. All of you, well, pretty much all of you, maybe not quite all of you have heard about that, but I will go over the basics with that for everyone involved. And then I really want us to get an understanding of where we are weak in that dynamic of having realization, working on integrating the learning from these realizations, and then actualizing that in our being and in our life. Okay, so when we grow, and that's not just people on a spiritual path, it's everyone in life, we go through periods where life challenges us, or because through our own efforts we're really reviewing our life and seeking to get some learning. But however it happens, we come to certain points in our lives where we go through lessons and growth and transformation and change, and how we handle that will to some degree dictate the outcome and the consequence. Whenever we are challenged by life, by spirit, or through our own choices to embrace something new, to embrace change, to embrace transformation, we really have often several choices about what we do with it, but two categories of choices. Either we embrace the greater potential of the change and transformation that's available to us, or we go on a circuitous journey. We live in a universe that's constantly moving forward towards evolution. I know it doesn't always feel like it living on this planet, but everything is constantly evolving. And life itself constantly tries to evolve forward, evolving towards its highest potential of what it can be. We are all aspects of the one spirit that runs through all of creation. We are all aspects of Source, and we are all on a journey, just like little children, to discover who we really are as spiritual beings and to embrace more of who we can become as full-grown sources in our own right and ourselves. And part of the impetus of life itself is to constantly evolve towards that. Now, we are in a free will universe. We live in a world where we can make our own choices. We're not completely driven by our own nature or the spirit within to do certain things one way or the other. We have a choice. Yes, I'll be good. No, I want to be bad. Or yes, I will change my life for the better. Or, no, I want to be selfish and I want to, hang on to all the things that make me feel good. We have a choice any moment. And no one choice is better or worse. Choosing one way is no better than the other, because in the end, all the choices take you back to the same destination, which is evolving into the greatest source, spiritual presence, energy that you can be. However, certain paths are quicker than others. Now, depending what you choose, you can really embrace a lot of growth, a lot of change, and go really taking in a lot of it. And, some of you in moments in your process have really rocketed forward with so much change happening and realization, like, wow, and really things happening in your being, so much healing and clearing and releasing, and your life is really different as a result. And there's other times where the change has been a bit more sluggish, and maybe you're not so involved in it, or maybe you're hanging on and you're fighting it and you're kicking and screaming and you don't want to let go, or you don't want to face certain things within yourself. Maybe there's certain things that are too painful or too scary, or you're too attached to for whatever reason. And these times are usually much less graceful and also much less conducive of growth. Can everyone relate to some of both experiences in your journey? Moments where you've really, whether it was at a retreat or other times, grown a lot and had so much change and so much new in your life, and other times where you struggled and you didn't feel like you were growing so well or so much, yeah? Okay. So when we are challenged to embrace change and transformation, we can choose to embrace it, or we can choose to fight it. And when we fight it, usually what happens is we go on a circuitous journey, which means that life, the universe, God, Goddess, whatever you want to call it, is because everything's constantly trying to evolve, is going to take you through a journey of experience to get you to come to the point where you are then ready to embrace the change. And these are the times where instead of just embracing the change and in a short amount of time just, wow, you know, you're feeling the shift and your life's different and you're behaving differently, you tend to go through a lot of phenomena in your life where you're going to be challenged to let go of one piece of it or face one piece of it and go through a whole thing until you come full circle and are then ready to face the same final change, transformation, letting go. And then hopefully you'll be ready to let go. But you know, it happens a lot that you go on the circuitous journey and you come back and you still don't want to let go. And you go around again and you go around again. And sometimes it happens like that for lifetimes and lifetimes. You know, there's certain things that just really, we just for some reason don't want to let it go. Judgment is often a big one, you know, something that we really judge. We just don't want to face it. We don't want to go there. Things that we really depend on for an illusion of a sense of self-esteem and self-worth is often really tricky to let go of because you feel that if you let go of it, then you're going to be worthless. Or it's going to, you know, it's like everyone then's going to know that I'm a fraud or that I'm useless or that I'm nothing or and I'm an idiot or all these faulty beliefs and feelings that we have about ourselves. So there's certain, you know, really tricky areas and everyone here has got some of those that you've been hanging on to since childhood, since 10 lifetimes ago, since 100 lifetimes ago. And so hopefully during this retreat we'll be able to let go of some of that. And that will be really up to you. Now, the whole thing that happens with the cycle of growth is there are moments where we are going to grow quicker and have lots of realization. And that makes us feel like we're really growing a lot because we're having all these aha moments like, oh, wow, I've just realized this about myself. Oh my God, I've just understood this about the nature of the universe. And oh my God, you know, I can certainly see this thing in my life or this person in my life in a whole different color. And we're having all these realizations. Wow, wow, wow. And that makes us feel like we're growing so much because we have all these new perspectives in our life. But that can be really a bit of a trick because the realizations themselves, they're just such a tiny part of the process of growth because the realizations don't mean anything and don't go anywhere and are of no use at all if you don't then take the essence of the realization in and work on integrating it. Now, so having the realization is really about this aha moment. It's about opening yourself up to new knowing. Opening yourself up to illumination. I'll talk a bit more about each phase of the process in detail in a moment. Once we've had that, then we have to work on integrating. Now, integrating is the phase where the new and the old kind of have a little Muay Thai fight. Wah! Where basically the new that's being brought in by the realization is, you know, well, hopefully you're choosing and trying to anchor that and to be changed by that. But the old that disagrees with whatever the realizations bring, so that's the attachments, the beliefs, the feelings, the baggage, the issues, whatever it is that's not in harmony with the new realization, it's going to be there. And no matter, you know, no matter how ready you are to embrace a new realization, there'll be an element of having to let go of the old to make room for the new and having to practice the new. Once you've gone through that phase of integration, which is often the most arduous, but it's probably the most important in a way, because without it, nothing else can happen. The realization, if you haven't worked on integrating it, it goes away. And that's why we get people having the same realizations over and over and over again. And some of you sometimes will go, oh, I've just had this realization, but I think I've had that realization before, haven't I? It's just maybe dressed up a bit differently. But for others, it's this whole sense, and you know, I've done it too, this whole sense of, oh my God, I've just realized this. And people around you are like, that's nice. This is only the third time we're hearing it this year, but that's all right. Yay, you know, that's good, because hopefully this time it will stick. This time you'll be ready to make it transform you, to make it stay with you and change your life. So realization, then has to be integration, then actualization. Actualization, once you pass that conflicted stage of having to practice and choose the new, let go of the old, then that's where that sense of your beingness being different and your life being different happens. And actualization happens when the new knowing that's come through the realization that you worked on integrating then becomes natural. It becomes part of who you are, how you behave, how you live your life, how you think, how you talk, how you act. And as a result, it's also reflected in your life. And the change might be very subtle. The people around you may or may not see it, but you need to be able to see it. But it's a funny thing at the same time that when we have a realization, it's a bit of an experience, and that's why some people become a bit addicted to the realization stage of the process, because it's just, oh, wow, I've just realized this. It's like, oh my God, suddenly you've opened your eyes and you can see something you couldn't see before. And it's like, it is quite a magical experience, and it can be quite a high. And several of us, when you have these big realizations, like, wow, and you're all excited and inspired, and it feels great. When you come through the whole thing to the actualization phase, things feel a lot more matter of fact. It's not such a big hoo-ha, because the realizations just become part of who you are. It's a lot more simple. It's just how you live your life. And when you look back to how you were before, you can see the difference. But there won't be such a big hoo-ha of the phenomena of the newness, because by the time you've actualized it, it's not new. It's just become who you are. And so that's very important also, to kind of not gauge the progress that you're making based on the phenomena of, oh, this feels great. Oh my God, it's so ha-ha, hoo-ha, and exciting and inspiring. And because this may not mean anything. It just may mean that you have lots and lots of realization that you don't do much with. Or, it may mean that you're going through a really fertile phase of inspiration and illumination, but then comes the stage of really working at it to make it transform you. And a lot of it has got to do more with being than doing. However, doing certain things can really support the change in your being. Everything's energy. Our bodies are made of energy vibrating, and the air is filled with energy, the sun is energy, the light is energy, everything's energy. When you have a realization, when you have a thought even, that's an energy as well. Now, when you open yourself up to a new realization, you open yourself up to receiving a new energy. And what we need to do is get better at allowing this energy then to not just stay up there or to be grasped by the mind, because that's what we tend to do a lot as well with realization. It's like, oh my God, we want to make sense of it. We want to explain it to ourselves or maybe to other people. We want to, cut it into little pieces and get to explore all the details. And oh my God, it's because this, that means this. And oh, it's because this. And we try to make sense of it, but all it does is scatter the energy. So when we're having realizations, one important thing is make sure that you don't let the little monkey mind, which is the ego. When we get that little thinker involved, all we're doing is getting the negative ego involved. So, there's so many times where we're trying to think about the things we need to realize because we want to get a good grasp on it to make sure we do it right. It's that real like, oh, I want to make sure I really get this, so I'm going to really think about it, and I'm going to use my mind to understand every little bit and piece of it. But all we're doing when we're doing this is getting the negative ego to get hold of that transformational energy and make it so much less than what it is. So what we need to do with the realization energy is, that moment when you have like, oh, when the penny just drops and you go like, oh yeah, let it be this, but let that energy then filter into your very being. Move your heart, get into your body, and let it start to actually change how you feel in your beingness, rather than trying to make sense of it and trying to put it into the boxes of what you think you know about the world and about yourself, and trying to make sense of the new realization in terms of what you already know, which is often what we do. It's like, okay, I'm going to make sense of this in a way that makes sense to me based on what I already know from the past. And all it does is basically fit everything into the same old boxes, no transformation. So instead, let that opening be, and let the energy come into you and start to do its thing, start to cook you from the inside. And it doesn't mean that you won't have a shift in your understanding, a shift in your way of thinking, a shift in your beliefs, but you don't use your mind to actively take the realization to pieces. That's very, very important. So the realization stage is a very receptive thing. So it's a very feminine activity. Sometimes to get to the realization, we need to put energy out to be more that go-go masculine thing, to really, okay, I want to pierce through into this mystery, or I want to really, break through that wall within myself or that limitation in my life. So sometimes we have to first do that to then get the realization. But once we start to have that, oh yeah, we have to really just be receptive. Once the realization, we allow ourselves to really receive that, this is when we start to move, just don't close it down, just allow it to run for however it runs. How much opening you have and surrendering and receiving all of that. Just allow it to go for however long it goes. But also then more actively start to work on the integration. Now, if you really receive the realization properly and you don't try to think but more feel into the potential for change that brings in your life, you're going to start to get a sense of what it's pushing against in your life. It's like, oh my God, wow. Oh, geez, it might mean I have to, change jobs. Or, oh my God, it might mean I have to stop, I don't know, eating 5 kilos of chocolate every night. Or, oh crap, So suddenly, if you really open, it's just going to start to, oh my God, it means maybe I have to really just choose to know that I'm worthy or something like that. So it starts to bring up all the things in your life that are not going to agree with the essence of that new realization, with the new energy. And this is the integration phase. The integration phase is often where people falter, because that's where you have to exercise your self-determination. That's one of the 4 pillars. And really just choose which person are you going to be. Are you going to be the old person? You're going to be the new person. Are you going to choose the old energy or the new energy? And I know it sounds really easy. It's like, oh, you can choose love or you can choose fear. It's simple. And it is simple, but it's not always easy, because sometimes everything in us is screaming that we don't want to change, or we're too scared, or we don't know what's on the other side, and we really have to go against all these things in us that are screaming to stay with the old. Integration, to really be successful, needs a certain application of your will and a correct alignment of your will, which means that you need to use your willpower and your choice, your power of choice, in a way that's going to be aligned to the highest, clearest, brightest of who you are, rather than choosing to give in to the comfortable, the feel-good factor, the old, the familiar, all of that. At the same time, integration also, to be successful, needs a lot of letting go. What I see some students doing sometimes is doing one or the other. So trying to let go of everything, but there's no real application of commitment and will into choosing the new. But more often what I see is not really letting go. It's like we're trying to, okay, I'm going to choose the new. Yeah, I'm going to integrate it. I'm going to make it happen. I'm just going to do my life differently, and I'm going to run these affirmations and do my CDs and do this, and I'm going to keep telling myself that, yeah, I'll choose the new, I choose the new, I choose the new. But they're not really letting go of all the stuff that doesn't agree with it. They try to, but they don't really. That's not always, but it happens. That's the most common problem that I see with the integration phase, is just the wanting to anchor the new without letting go of the old. And you can't. All you're doing then is doing this layering of new stuff that's not really going to be new, because it's not going to affect the transformation it's meant to happen. It's like the little caterpillar trying to go into the cocoon, become a butterfly, but still be a caterpillar. It's like it has to, actually when they go into the cocoon, they liquefy and then turn into, that the butterfly. They don't actually just like grow wings and, you know, stay the way they are. And if you really see the body of a butterfly and a caterpillar, the body's not exactly the same. It's you know, it's a bit different. They've lost all the little fluffy hairs and all the stuff they have on there. So they actually, you know, the caterpillar has to be gone for the butterfly to happen. In the same way with the integration phase, you cannot make yourself force the new into yourself without letting go of the old, which conflicts with that new. Now, it's a fine balance, because when we're trying to move in a new direction, we need to focus on the new, not the old. Because we know that whatever we put our focus and intention on, we give energy to, because that's what we direct energy into. And that's something that's been proven by quantum physics. You know, when anyone directs their attention on something, it starts to affect that something that we're putting attention to. And what it does is actually feed energy into it. So when we have a realization, we want to focus on the new and bring that into our lives, because that's what we want to feed. Just like you would water a plant, you just put love into it, you put commitment into it, you put focus into it, you put your energy into feeding the new and having it grow. You're nurturing it. You know, you just, yeah, come on, little flower, grow, grow, grow. But it's like trying to plant a flower on a bed of dry rocks if you're not letting go of the old. You know, you have to have the fertile soil, and the fertile soil for the new to grow is just the energy of pure potential. The energy of pure potential can only happen when you've let go of all the limitations that you're placing on that energy. So that means you have to let go of your attachments, your expectations, your preconceptions, and all the things that you're using to cling to stuff, to make yourself smaller, to stay frozen in fear. And so really the real challenge often is to be able to feed the new, but really let go of the old. And sometimes it's very scary, because we have things invested in the old. It fulfills a need within us. And that's why we're hanging on so much in our life. The things that, whether it's a person or a thing in our life, it's our job, or it's patterns within us, like beliefs we have about the world, about ourselves, habits, things that we do with our mind. All of it fulfills a need within us. Otherwise, you know, we wouldn't have it there. If it was completely useless to us and we got nothing out of it, we usually don't bother. So we have to really acknowledge what we're getting out of all these old things that we're hanging on to, because sometimes letting go is easy. If that's the case, it means that you don't really have a need for that old stuff in there anymore. If it's not easy, it means you have an investment. So you need to really feel into what is the investment, and then let it go. You have to either realize that maybe that need that's being fulfilled is something that, you know, was relevant when you were 10, and you just never bothered to change it, but it's actually really relevant now. Or sometimes, often all this emotional stuff in there is very irrational. You know, it's like, my God, I can't, you know, let go of, I don't know, just brushing my teeth at 8:30 every night, because if I don't, then, you know, I forget and then I get into trouble. Well, that might have been relevant when you were 5, because, you know, if you didn't do it at certain times, you'd forget and your mom would go crazy at you or something. But it's like an irrational thing that you never bothered clearing. And during this retreat, we're actually going to do some clearing on childhood stuff. And this is a very petty example. We'll probably find a bit more meaty stuff when we go there. But, you know, all this stuff that we installed in childhood that are irrational, but they're really gutsy. They're just like right here in our core, in our foundation, these irrational, emotional survival things that we installed to cope when we were little, helpless children, that we never removed. And we keep, you know, to some degree acting out of that without even realizing that that's what we're doing. And now it's time to let go. But there are other times where maybe it is, like if it is your job, you know, you have a real attachment to your job because it gives you a sense of worthiness. It's like you instead of feeling a sense of worthiness within yourself just for being you, you just need something outside yourself to make you feel like you're worthy. And we'll talk about worthiness in depth some other day, where we'll do some really other process with that. But so we can do that. So if you have a realization that, oh my God, you know, this is what I'm like, and this is what I really love doing, and this is what I feel called to do. Wow, this is great. Oh my God, that might mean I have to leave my job, and how am I going to do for the money, and how am I going to feel about myself, you know, like, because if I lose this job, then I lose my status in society and my friends, and whatever might be invested in this. So we start to kind of go, oh, well, I don't want to let go. Maybe I can do this and keep my job. And so that's when we start to barter and negotiate. Oh, maybe I can do the new and keep the old at the same time. And sometimes it's just like, oh, I can't let go of that guilt about something I did 10 years ago or something I did 10 lifetimes ago. You know, I feel like I don't deserve to embrace this new magical thing that I'm realizing about myself, because deep down I have this, I did something horrible and I cannot be forgiven, and that's the end of it. So I can't let go. So we have these really deep-seated things that cause us to hang on. And if we don't really go there and face what's there, and just, no matter how much everything is screaming at you, just let it go, the transformation won't happen. So what's happened is that you're going to have the same realization, but dressed up differently, because the negative ego is just wanting you to not think that it's the same realization, because you worked so hard at trying to, you know, you practice and you did your affirmations and you work on, you know, integrating that new thing. So, you know, and you feel a bit different. I mean, it's not much, you know, you're not really behaving differently, your life's not different, you know, but surely, you know, you spent all these weeks like integrating, so, you know, like, yeah, but you haven't let go of the old. And so you're going to have the same realization, but dressed up differently, because maybe it's just a way of making you feel like you are having a new realization when you're not really. And sometimes it is also, you know, we have to realize that also sometimes we have realizations that are in the same area, but it's not really the same realization. You know, it might be another realization about self-esteem or worthiness, or the way you use your mind, or, you know, the way you value yourself or something. But it's the essence of the realization is different. It's not one you've had before. But sometimes it's dressed up differently, but the essence of the realization is the same. So it's like, oh, the story is like, oh, you know, let's use an example for self-esteem since we're here at a Foundations retreat. It's like, oh, you know, I realized that, you know, I really, I'm playing out this, you know, needing to get approval. That's a common, everyone's had that. We've all had that. To get approval from outside myself, you know, it's like I don't really, you know, like fully commit to something unless like certain people around me approve. Because that one realization, oh my God, I can really see how much I'm doing that. Like you can feel it, you can see it, you're having the aha moment. Okay, so you're going to work at, you know, not making choices to please these people in your life and trying to, you know, get your own approval and stuff, but you're not really letting go of that issue within you that makes you feel that you can't trust your own judgment, for instance. So you're trying to pile up this whole, I don't need other people's approval to make my own choices, on top of, actually, I can't trust my own knowing, so I can't make my own decisions. So it's not going to fit, but, you know, you're practicing it, and to some degree you're going to fake it till you make it, but you're not letting go, you're not letting go. And then, so you'll kind of like go about it a bit differently, because you've practiced not caring about the approval of these people. So you're going to, you know, perhaps do it a bit differently, but really you're still going to be caring about the approval of those people. And then maybe a few months later, maybe a year later, you're going to have a realization that goes like, you know, I am constantly, you know, using the reflection of the world around me to the people around me, not like the universe, but the world around me to, you know, guide me in my life. And to you, that might seem really different in the moment. It's like a new realization. But it's exactly the same essence of the realization. Can you see that? So it's like, oh, I don't make decisions without the approval of these people, and I guide myself through life by, you know, monitoring the reflection of the world around me, or you know, the people around me. Well, even though in the moment you might feel like it's a different realization, it's actually the same essence of the realization. So that's a bit of a trick as well. That's why it's good if you know, some of you journal or dialogue regularly, some of you write regular reports to your mentor. Good to keep some of those and sometimes revisit. like a year later, 2 years later, 3 years later, because you'll go over some stuff, and some of it will like, oh wow, like I did that maybe a couple of months ago, where I went through some old notes from like 5 years ago or something, and wow, that's really good. And so some of the stuff I was reading was like, oh my God, that's really good. That, oh yeah, I like it. Wow, that was pretty profound. And you know, the stuff you go like, oh, I was already working on that then, was I? Yeah. Yeah, right. Well, I get it. Thank you. So it can be an interesting, sobering exercise to go over some of those notes, journaling or reports from the past, especially if you remember particular times where you worked on particular issue, like worthiness or self-esteem or stilling the mind or whatever thing, and go, I think around that time that year I was going through this big process around it, and revisit some of those notes and see how much you have integrated, because you'll read some stuff, it's like, oh, that's like so obvious, and it's like so matter of fact, and you know, it's like obviously that's just become part of my reality and part of how I live my life. That's just how it is. But there's other stuff where you'll go like, oh wow, that's really good, and you're actually having another realization just from reading that, and that shows you where you had a realization that you didn't integrate and then actualize. So yeah. Then the actualization phase, like I said, so once, if you've done your integration correctly, you've really put energy into the new and practice. You know, the integration phase is really for practicing. And then you've let go of whatever just doesn't fit with the new choices that you're making for yourself. Then comes the actualization, where suddenly it won't be such hard work. It just becomes more natural. And, you know, you may be realizing that, oh, I do feel really different. And things may be manifesting differently in your life. And you may be relating differently. And things that you used to anguish over or used to be really hard work or you used to be very confused about, suddenly it's very simple. It's like, oh, well, that's not a big deal anymore. Like, you know, I look back and I used to have issues with that, but really, no, it's really not a big deal. Now, important at that stage, actualization, to, first of all, not chase the high of the realization. Yeah, because that happens like, oh my God, you know, well, it feels very good, but I don't feel that, wow, the new. So if you go chase the phenomena, it's just like a, you know, looking for drugs or something. It's just you want to get the feel-good thing because you're using that to make you feel like you're moving forward. But you know, like I said before, that's only because it's the new thing you're opening to in the moment when you're having a realization. That doesn't mean anything. So that's the first thing with actualization. The other thing is, don't go back to try to feel into the old stuff that you've cleared to make sure that it's not there anymore. Because that's the best way to reinstall. So sometimes what happens, like you've gone through the integration, it's like, oh my God, I don't really have issues with that anymore. And then what we do is then try to go back to the place within ourselves where there used to be the old stuff and the anguish and the fear and all the stuff that we've let go of. And just because we want to make sure it's not there anymore. But what we're doing is actually going within that place within ourselves with an intention of narrowing in on that old stuff. And all we do is basically bring that old stuff back into the mix. So doesn't mean that we mustn't, you know, stay on top of things and monitor and stay aware and review that we're not doing the old again. But it's very important when you're actualizing to just feel how things are right now. Don't go looking for the problem. Just really be honest with yourself. How do I feel right now? Really just, well, actually it feels pretty good. Doesn't feel conflicted. That's okay. Very different thing if you're going, okay, let me see if that old thing is still in there. I remember how that felt. Yeah, so I'm going to go in there with that memory of how it felt and that energy, and I'm going to look for it. It was there, you know. I'm going to try to trigger it to make sure that it's not there anymore. Ever done that? Yeah? So, and what does it do? Put energy into the old and reactivate it. And so then you have to clear it again. And, you know, if you've done that, it's not the end of those, like, oh my God, that's it, I've installed it, I'm dead. No, you just clear it again. It's just wasted a bit of time and energy. And if you do that a lot, you're just going to do one step forward, two step back a lot, like back and forth like this. Probably not the best way. And then with the actualization phase is also to embrace as much of the potential that's there for you in the moment. Now, when you've gone through the aha moment of the realization, you've worked on the integration, you've let go of the old, you've reinforced the new, you've practiced it until it became kind of second nature. Now it's actualizing, it's feeling much more natural. Things can start to manifest differently in your life, but the integration phase can be very short, can be very long, depending how much energy you put into the old before. When you're actualizing, you're going to start to see the shifts, but sometimes it takes a little while for things to be actually happening differently in your life. You're going to be feeling different. As a result, your experience is going to be different because you're at the center of your experience, so everything's going to be feeling and looking different. But sometimes for events, things that happen in life that, to some degree you don't have direct control on, sometimes it happens pretty quickly, sometimes it happens a bit down the road, because how much energy in the past you put into the old behaviors, the old belief, is going to define how long it takes for the new to be able to happen in your life. So if you've been running a pattern around let's say, really not feeling worthy of money, maybe it's a genetic thing, maybe it's something you just don't feel like you're smart enough that you should deserve to have a job that makes good money or something, for example. So let's say you've had that running and you've put a lot of energy into it, like putting yourself down, you're just stupid, there's no way you can get this job, and maybe you've had a go in moments, I'm going to apply for this job, but then you've sabotaged yourself, and then when you didn't get the job, you went, see, I told you, you're an idiot, and you're not good enough for this, and you did this over years and years and years and years and years, and really forcefully. Then suddenly one day you've worked on yourself, you've done your affirmation, you've done the CDs, you've meditated, you've run the process on stuff that was coming up, you've practiced changing your thoughts about yourself, and one day you really have that aha moment of, oh my God, this is just like a pattern I've taken on from my father, and it's completely not the truth, and I can really see how I've played out in my life, and how when I didn't get the jobs and stuff, it wasn't because I was stupid or whatever, it was just because I sabotaged it. I can see it all. Wow, I'm having this realization, and I can really see how I'm okay. I may not be Einstein, but I'm smart enough. So wow, I can really sense the possibility of how I can do it differently, and wow, here goes the integration phase. No, you're really stupid, and there's the father's voice going, our family is cursed, and you can never do that, and and you laugh, but I've had people like that with family curses. So that's where you work, and you're going to practice and stuff, and you let it all go, and yeah, I was forgetting the point I was making with all of it. And so you're letting go of the beliefs. You'd say, no, when all these beliefs come up and all these issues come up and all the emotional urge to just put yourself down and, not believe in yourself comes up, you go, no, I remember, I had this aha moment. I could really feel how I could do it differently, and how all of this was just not real, it's just a pattern. And so I'm not buying into it, I'm not judging it. I understand where it's coming from. Always important, not judging when you're clearing. It's not like, oh, this stupid thing, I don't want it in my life anymore, I'm going to push it away. If you do that, it's not going to clear. So you have to go, wow, I can really see why the pattern's playing out, and it's just not what I choose anymore, because I can really see and feel the potential for this new way of doing it. And if I can feel it, it's real. And so you've gone through all of that, you've let go of the old, you've practiced, and probably if you've put that much energy into putting yourself down for so many years, it's going to take a while for the integration phase to happen. The more energy you put into the old before you had the realization, the longer you're going to have to work in the integration, because you basically have to clean up all the energy that you've set up in motion through all these years of projecting out this energy of, I'm stupid, I can't do it, I don't deserve it, la, 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 and putting so much energy out into your life and into the world that says this. Now you're choosing different. You have to clean up all that energy that you've put out that was saying the old. So that's, all the stuff that comes up. But you said that you were stupid. Yeah, well, I know better now, Thank you. feel the feelings, don't judge, run the process, let it go. And doing that over and over and over again. And then it starts to actualize that, oh, actually, I'm going to apply to these jobs, and I think I can do it, I think, yeah, definitely, maybe you're taking little steps, it's one job that's a bit better than another and then another. And then it just becomes natural. You don't find yourself, going there, going, oh my God, you're going to fail, you're so stupid, or anything like that. You just, I can do this, yeah, and you're still practicing it, but it's very natural, and you don't put yourself down anymore, and it's just very matter of fact. And when it's like this, it's like, sometimes some people start to kind of get a bit worried that they're missing something. Surely it can't be that easy, or it can't be that simple. That's a big one. It can't be that simple. It's got to be more complicated. It's got to be hard work. It's got to be all of these things. No, it is simple. The truth is always simple. Not always easy, but always simple. And then in those moments, you really got to then embrace all of that newness that you can be. Because this is the moments where you've made the room for it, and you're on the cusp of it just completely just grounding and taking hold. And that's where you can't just go, oh, well, can I really have it that easy? Can it be that simple? Or maybe it can only be this simple, so I'll take that much of it. No, just be as big as you can be, embrace as much of the love and the new as you can be, and take it all in. And then it goes from there. Don't go then chasing the next realization. Just let it anchor, let it just really actualize. Let it start to be that your life is different. And anyone with their wits about them is going to notice that something's different. A lot of people won't, because a lot of people look at you through their own preconceived ideas of who you are and who they know you to be and how you've been. And, not always everyone is sensitive to the changes that happen like that. But yeah, so that's kind of the whole cycle that we have to go through, and some of the traps to look for in each of the phases, and some of the things that are really important to remember in each of the phases. So with the realization phase, is that really just allowing yourself to take it in, to receive it. Don't cut it into pieces with your mind. Don't try to make sense of it. Just let it come into your being and change you, and start to sow the seeds of transformation. And that will start to then bring up all the stuff that you have to let go of in the integration phase. Integration phase, this is really where we have to apply most of the tools that we talk to you guys about, to stay focused on the new, keep re-choosing the new, keep practicing, keep letting go of the old, don't judge what comes up to feel, but don't get caught up in it, don't identify with it. When we say don't identify with it, this is what we mean. We mean there's the new of who you can become, and there's the old of who you've been. Which one do you choose to be? Which one do you identify with? Because we are who we truly are, but we also are who we choose to be. And that's one of these, the truth has always got these two sides to the coin. It's like we have an essence, an ultimate true presence of who we really are. And a lot of the journey is unraveling all the limitations that we've put on ourselves to hide the magnificence of that being that we really are. But at the same time, we are, and how we express and how we live our life and how we grow as a spiritual being, because it's not like the spiritual essence that we are is frozen and it's going to be the same. Remember, we're growing into being our own sources. And how it grows, all of this depends on how we choose to be, and who we choose to be, and what we choose to be. And so, yeah. So in the integration phase, all of this, the don't judge, let go, don't be attached, don't get caught up in it, don't identify with the old, all that stuff that we talk about on the CDs, the DVDs, the classes, all of that. That's really where a lot of it comes into play. Then the actualization phase, remember, it's about don't go looking for the old that you've cleared, because that reinstalls it. Keep it simple, embrace all of it that there can be, and maintain. That's that whole practice and then maintain. You learn something new, then you practice it, and then you maintain it. So you don't just drop the ball and just don't care anymore whether you're being good to yourself or whether you're putting yourself down. You kind of keep tabs on it, you check into it, you keep your awareness on it, just because, you know, in moments it's going to pop up like out of the blue. It's like, oh my God, I haven't done that in a year. Like, you know, really put myself down. And here's that thing that rises up. No, 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 no. Well, we stopped doing that a long time ago. Come on. We're in the process, let go. And then when the next realization happens, it happens. Sometimes that preparing the fertile soul for the realization is, you know, on the tail end of actualizing whatever you had before. So it becomes very second nature and all. It's keep embracing it, keep expanding into it, and then open your eyes to a new degree of seeing your limitations. And we've all had that whole thing, you know, the more you grow, the more you see more of patterns and stuff that you're playing out that you couldn't see before. It's like, and that's this constant realization. It's like, it's not like you, oh my God, I can see this thing I'm doing that wasn't here before. That was there all along, but you couldn't see it before. And the more we grow, the more we embrace more of the truth, and the more we're willing to kind of let go more and more, the more we can see more of what can be let go of. Did that make sense? Yeah. Does that make sense to everyone, the whole thing? Okay. So I'd like everyone to have a bit of a feel into where your weaknesses are. And, you know, like many of you have started to do like, oh yeah, oh shit, I've done that. I do that a lot. Oh, so there's been a few like, oh crap, yeah. And maybe let's do a bit of sharing, just to see where everyone's at with all of that, and where you feel your weak spots are, what you feel, you know, you've been doing with this dynamic. And then we'll have a break, and then we'll come back to a process and take it from there. With our innerness, with everything that is within us, that's going on within us, whether we know it's there or we're still in denial of it. Let's bring all of us to the party. And let's really feel our grounding cord from our heart through our body, connecting us and anchoring us down into the core of the earth. Connected with Gaia heart to heart. And let's use that grounding cord connection, that heaviness pulling us down, to have it help us really ground and anchor our awareness. And let's really switch on our awareness. It's like opening our eyes, but not the physical eyes. It's like the eyes of our minds, the eyes of our knowing, the eyes of our feeling, the eyes of our heart. Let's just really just switch it on, open it, so we can shed the light into all these areas within us that we need to look at. Where there are things that are causing us blocks and challenges in the process of having a new realization and really integrating them and actualizing the change, going through the whole cycle of growth. And let's invite the energy of insight as well as courage into the mix. To really have the courage to see what's really going on within us, the patterns that are there, the issues, the attachments, the beliefs, the expectations, the things we don't want to let go, things we're avoiding or denying. And just know that no matter how scary we think it's going to be, it's not. It's just propaganda of the negative ego that's causing us to avoid places within ourselves because we're too scared, we can't handle it, or we can't get out of it, or it's too bad, or too painful. You can totally handle anything that's inside you. It's all your creation, it's all you who installed it, designed it, and made it what it is. You're the creator of all of it. Of course you can handle it. You have the power, you have the courage, and you're open to the insight and illumination. Let's invite some illumination as well. Let's just be open to see, to realize, to receive. It's not about us poking our nose, thinking about stuff. It's just about open your eyes and just see what's there. You don't have to really look into anything. You just see what's there. There's going to be some lovely stuff. There's going to be some stuff that's stirred up, painful, happy, all sorts of things. Just see it with the eyes of the heart. See it. Allow the penny to drop. Perhaps you've had a realization or two today. Just somehow, the new knowing of this or the new knowing of something now. Open yourself up. It may be just a small thing. Doesn't mean it's not necessarily going to be a great aha moment. It might just be like, oh yeah, there's that. No expectation, just receive whatever's there. Maybe very small, maybe big, maybe something you already knew, maybe a new thing. Just something that's hobbling you that you can let go. Allowing yourself to get that new perspective, that illuminated perspective. Oh, this is this. It's just a pattern, it's a feeling, it's an issue, it's a belief. I can see how that's been limiting me and I've been taking for granted until now. Expand your perspective and let that expanded perspective invite new realization, change, new vision, something new. I choose to know and see the truth. And when you perceive something or receive something, allow it to open up. If it's a new energy, a new realization, allow it to open up within you, to expand, to spread, to flow into your being. Allow it to start that process of change slowly, one step at a time, one drop at a time. Perhaps the seed of a vision of a different way of doing it, different way of being. A new you. And as you allow that to take root, to be planted, to wash through, just be aware of the things that you have to let go to make room for that to really bloom, to really grow, to really take root. And we're not doing anything with it yet, we're just perceiving, receiving. Just being with it. Noticing, being aware. We're opening up clarity of perception within ourselves. What is really going on here? What do I need to let go of? Why have I been hanging on? What's the need behind my attachment? What's the judgment behind that issue that I can't let go of? If it's a familiar issue that you've worked on before, just be open to really see what's going on that's preventing you from letting it go once and for good. And keep it gone, not reinstalling. Is there a belief running that's causing you to reinstall it? Is it still some underlying judgment or guilt or shame? Or fear of not knowing how to be without it? Do you need to give yourself permission, perhaps, to be different, to embrace the new, to be happy, to feel as you feel? What's the block? What needs to be released? Once again, we're not doing anything unless it's happening naturally. We're just being open to receiving transformation, receiving clarity, seeing it all really for what it is. remaining very present. Keep breathing, deep breath all the way to the belly. I receive, I see, I feel, I know. And just feel as it feels. And really acknowledge it for what it is. It's not a good thing, it's not a bad thing, it's just a coping mechanism. Maybe it's what you thought was the right thing to do for a long time, and now you're finding that old habits die hard. Or maybe it's something part of you really still believes. Maybe it's what you were raised to believe. Maybe in order to not repeat a mistake, you judged yourself really harshly to make sure it doesn't happen again. Maybe you have a belief that you need to punish yourself for something you've done. Whatever it is, just be with it, make space for it, to feel it and to acknowledge it, and to understand with compassionate understanding that it's not a bad thing. It's not a good thing either. It's just a thing that you used to cope, or because you thought it was the right thing to do. And just now that you have that expanded perspective, you realize it's just time for it to go. Very important. Where is there still judgment? Where is there fear to let go? Where is the need behind the attachment? Where are you wanting to get rid of it before you've made peace with it? You have the courage to go there. You have the insight, illumination and clarity to see it all for what it is. You have the compassionate understanding to transcend that judgment. You accept it. Accept that it's there. Accept that you did it, or you chose it, or you created it. It's just what happened. Life happens, shit happens. It's no big deal. That's life happening. And you have to let go of any expectation that you have that life should be any different. That's how life is. Once you've accepted that, it all becomes a lot easier. Life isn't perfect, we're not perfect. No matter what you believe or think it should be, that's how it is. Let's stop fighting that. Let's just accept the imperfection of life and of ourselves. It's just how it is. That's life. It's the human creature. It takes a bit of everything to make a creation. It's just how it is. And I understand. And also I understand that none of it has to matter right now. These things that I'm hanging on to, these things that I'm judging, that I'm making a big deal out of because I think it should be different or it should have been different. It doesn't have to be a big deal. It's just a little thing that happened. Maybe it's a big thing that happened. Well, it felt big at the time. Right now, it's still faded into insignificance because right now, it doesn't matter. All these things that we struggle to let go of because we turn it into these big monsters, they're just things. None of it really matters that much. Not when you're really committed to love and truth. And all these things that we believe about ourselves, about how it should be, all of that, that's just illusion. Really debunk it. See it for what it is. It's just mental constructs that we have about ourselves or about life. They're not the truth. They're just thought forms, things that don't really matter. The truth is within your deepest heart of hearts. That's where the truth is. None of this noise and what ifs and thoughts and beliefs, none of it's the truth. And none of it matters because we're committed to love. We're committed to change, to making it stick, and to moving ever forward, evolving ever forward into being the greatest source of love that we can be. And that's all that matters. Doing that in the best possible way while we live our lives. To not place limitations on the potential of all that we can be. Getting that sense of perspective. Does it really matter? Within the greater scheme of things, at a time like this, at the end of 2012, does that really matter, that thing? Probably not. That fear, that neediness, that belief, that judgment, whatever it is. So breathe. When you really feel like you've accepted it, made your peace with it, and just realize that it's not so big a thing that you can't let it go, because in the greater scheme of things, it's not that big a thing. With gratitude, let's bring in some gratitude for the learning, for the perspective we're getting here, and for the experience of life, as imperfect as it is. We've been there, we've done it, and we're going to keep doing it, because we're human beings, living in an imperfect world, having an imperfect life, and that's part of the fun. And you can let go as much as you can, as much as you choose. It's okay, it's in the past, none of it matters. None of it matters right now. All that matters is this new choice. It's me practicing this new realization, energy, knowing, direction. And no matter what's going on inside me that's screaming that it's scary and it's too much and I can't, I know better. I've got my expanded perspective. I'm still grounded, I'm still present, but I've got perspective. The part of me that chooses the new is the part of me I identify with. The part of me that's kicking and screaming and scared and coming up with all these good, great reasons why I should hang on to the old, that's who I used to be. It's not who I choose to be anymore. I'm choosing this. Nobody's making me. It's not always easy, but it's very simple. So I take a deep breath and I accept that I have to let go of that. That's also a big step, because sometimes even facing the fact that we have to let go is too much, and sometimes you just have to accept that the letting go is inevitable. It has to happen. And just to accept that can be a real big step too. That's just the reality. Yeah, I don't feel completely ready to let go, but at least I'm really ready to accept that I'm going to have to let go, that there is no other way. Yes, this is what I choose for myself, for my sense of self-determination, from and for myself. This is the choice I'm making. And I'm accepting that I'm going to have to let go of all of this other stuff. That may mean a lot of things changing in myself, in my life. Maybe it's just going to be a few little changes on the outer. But change only happens with change. Do I really want to grow? Do I really want to choose love? Do I really want to be presence of love and wisdom in the world, make a difference, to be all that I can be? If so, some stuff's going to have to go, and I really have to face this and accept it. And if I'm having some trouble and I'm attached, well, maybe I need to open my eyes inside myself and really look at what's behind those attachments. Have I tangled up my self-worth in stuff that's outside of myself? Do I have beliefs about some stuff I need or some stuff that I am? Am I just scared to leave what I know? In which case, courage is a great solution. And just feel the fear and do it anyway. Am I just too unsure about what's coming ahead? What's the next thing? Courage, once again. If you're really moving into the new, you can't really know how it's going to be, but tell you what, it's still going to be the right direction. If you're choosing the new of love, you just have to trust love. Just give it a go, have a go. You can't stay the same your whole life. You're not going to just like freeze on yourself and never change again. No way. No way. There's too much life to be experienced. There's too much love to be embraced. You gotta have this appetite for more of life, of love, of the new, of spirit, more of who you truly are. Just get hungry for that. Because that's also going to help you be motivated to keep embracing the new, keep moving forward. You're going to be hungrier for that than you are for staying safe, staying comfortable, staying the same. Choose it, feel it. It's in there, it's in you, or you wouldn't be here doing this work. Something in you is hungry for that something more. Let that drive you and motivate you to let go of the stuff that's holding you back. I am hungry for more. More greatness, more love, more light, more wisdom, more spirit everywhere in my life, more life, more of me. Choose it, just make it be so. Commit to the new. Remember, commitment is sticking with it even after the initial enthusiasm has waned. You know, it's so exciting and new at the beginning, and then you gotta get through the old and the resistance. But the commitment and that hunger for more is going to help you drive through. And courage is going to keep you going. I know it's hard going, but I'm motivated. I want it. I want what's on the other side. And I can acknowledge that parts of me don't want to come along, but that's not who I choose to be, so I'm going to let go. I'm going to help these parts of me heal, become whole, realize these parts of me need to have their own realization that we don't need any of this old stuff, that I can let go, that I can be more, that I can do more, that none of this old stuff matters anymore. Choose it, make it so, and commit to it. Identify with who you're choosing to be, and choose to be in alignment with the truth of the spirit of which you are. Your mind doesn't know it, but you have the feeling. Spirit's always about love. Accept that you have to let go. Be hungry for more. Be committed to the new. Be willing and ready to really see what's really going on, that's hanging on. And to some degree, you need a bit of that inner parent, inner child dynamic where who you're choosing to be, committed to the new, needs to guide and parent the parts of you that are kicking and screaming and having little tantrums, not wanting to come along. Being loving but firm. Hey, we are doing this. We'll be okay. Let's heal this. Let's let go of this. Let's confront this. This is what we're doing. I'm in charge. And it's happening. So you need to kind of hold yourself and surround yourself in that kind of loving, firm, guiding influence. Parent yourself to grow spiritually. And just let go. If you let go of one thing and really bring in, anchor some of that new energy, then you've done great. And if you've accepted that you have to let go of something, which you hadn't before, then you've done great. Align yourself to the new. Commit to the new. Be hungry for it. Keep that sense of awareness and perspective and insight. And that greater perspective where you don't get so caught up in all the tiny little ego dramas and all the little fears and all this. It's just, I remember that there's so much more to me than that. That makes it easy to not get so caught up in all the resistance and the fear that comes up as well. It's like, yeah, I'm feeling it, I'm scared, I'm fighting it, but there's so much more to me than that. And I'm also choosing the new, and that's stronger than anything else. I'm not even going to fight myself because I'm the parent. The other stuff, the negative ego kicking and screaming, that's the child. May take a bit of work, may take a bit of time to integrate and get there, but I have a steady parenting approach. It's going to happen, there's no other way. My way or the highway. With love and compassion, but also firm. Just feel the feelings. Acknowledge what's really going on. Make your peace with it. Remember, if it's not going, then really look. Is there any residual judgment? Is there any attachment? Am I not fully accepting that I have to let go? Is there beliefs that are causing me to either reinstall or not let go? Let it all vanish. If it's not about love, it's not the truth. That's the bottom line. Because the truth of spirit is always going to be about unconditional love and above. The rest is patterns, illusions, beliefs, ego stuff. Be present with it. Keep letting go. Keep anchoring the new. Keep committing to completing the integration, the actualization. Remember that when it becomes much more graceful and natural and it just is how you are and how you live your life and all this, celebrate, appreciate, be grateful. Don't go digging out for some of the old to make sure it's not there. No, no, no. Just be in the new. Keep your awareness and your inner eyes open. Stay on the ball. Embrace as much as of the new as possible. Celebrate and appreciate. And keep your eyes open for what's right here, right now, and what's the next thing. No urgency, in due time. When you're ready, when life is ready, when the cycles are coming to that point, it will happen. All in due time. You're riding the wave. That's what we're doing. Really harmonize in that. Strongly aligned and centered and present in all of it, embracing all the new. You know, the process of letting go is going to keep going through the evening. Process of integration. Remember, you're going to be presented with all the stuff that you need to let go of. Let go. If you're having trouble, you know what to do. Look into why you're having trouble letting go. And let go of that. Make your peace with things. And stay in the greater beingness, the greater perspective. And keep one step at a time, moving forward. When you're ready, you can open your eyes.